read officially 50 books this year so far, and I don't know how to feel about that. I loved this book, and I'm just so happy to be back in this world. Hello people of the YouTube world and all who are watching this. I am Mackenzie901K. You guys, we are officially halfway through the year and I don't know how to feel about that. So with the middle of the year coming around, I decided that I would participate in the mid-year book tag and also kind of talk about what I have learned along the way of reading 50 books in a year. So let's start with that first. Let's start with the details. So I have read officially 50 books this year so far. That is wild. Within the 6-month time span, I cannot believe that I have read 50 books. So reading 50 books has definitely been a challenge this year, one that I was not expecting, because if you don't know, I've kind of talked about it a little bit, but my fiance actually challenged me to read 100 books this year. I had to take him up on it. I was originally going to read 75 or try to read 75. That's what I was going to set my goal at, but he was like, no sweetie, you're going to read 100 books this year. So here we are, 50 books halfway through the year. But without any further ado, I think we should go ahead and get on into the questions. So the first question is going to be the best book that I've read so far in 2024. Now this is kind of a hard question for me because I've read so many good books, but I think my statement book this year is definitely, scooting my journal over here for a minute, is definitely The Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I loved this book. This book was a 5-star read for me, and I have thought about it every day. I loved the dual POV. I loved Rune as the main character, and Gideon was such a fun love interest. He was so fun. The ending was crazy. I'm obsessed with a vigilante story that's centered around fantasy. Like, that just combines my two worlds right together, and this just done it in a great way. Like, literally put a ribbon on top. It was amazing. The next question is my favorite sequel or the best sequel that I've read so far in 2024, and that one is going to A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. Okay, I know. I'm very well aware that this is a very popular series and it has been around for a while, but I just recently, pretty much except for the last book, finished the series. I'm currently in the middle of Silver Flames. This was honestly the best sequel to a series that I could have ever asked for. It wasn't hardly a 6-star sequel, but it was a 5-star sequel. Need I say more? I was obsessed with this book. I could not put it down. I literally think I read it in a couple sittings. The second book in this series had me like reaching for this book, the third book, ASAP, because I was that obsessed. And I rest my case. This has been my favorite sequel so far this year. It has been so fun and so good, and I daydream about this series more often than I want to admit. Now we're talking about some new releases. The next question is new releases you haven't read yet but want to. I have been itching to read Reckless. Reckless is going to pop up a few times in here. I'm so sorry in advance. I am so sorry, but I have been itching to read Reckless so bad. I recently got the opportunity through Simon & Schuster. If you all want to as well, Simon & Schuster is doing a little thing right now where they're letting you read the first 10 chapters for free. And if you're like me and you're impatient, I definitely recommend, because I'm even more hyped now than I was before I had read the 10 chapters, so go read them. They are so interesting. And then I also wanted to throw in here a novel love story. So a novel love story is by Ashley Poston. I've never read an Ashley Poston book, but I'm planning on reading a novel love story because it is a book club pick for one of the book clubs that I'm in. Katie's. And it's also Sarah Caroli. Her book club picked it this month too, so I get a double whammy. I get to hear a lot of people talk about it, and I'm really excited for it. And then we have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I kind of talked about Not in Love in my last video, but I want to talk about it again because I am really excited for it. But Ali Hazelwood, like, isn't my, like, super favorite author, and, like, that's okay. But I'm still excited to read her books. I'm still excited to experience something new that she's written. I don't know. We will see what I think about that book. And then I also wanted to mention Daydream because in my last video was talking about my summer TBR. If you guys haven't go watched it, I'll put the card up somewhere here. I just want to, like, comment that I forgot to mention Daydream, and why, I don't know, because Icebreaker was one of my favorite reads of the year last year, and also Wild Eyes is coming out later this year. I think it's coming out in September, and I'm also really excited for it too because I really loved, is it Wild Love? Yeah. I really loved Wild Love as well. It was really, really good. So those are kind of all the new releases that I'm very excited about. Oh wait, those were new releases. I guess we're kind of tying in together question 3 and 4. The next question is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I would definitely say, again, it's Reckless, Daydream, and Wild Eyes are definitely 3. Also, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping comes out in September as well, and I'm super stoked for that book because it is the companion novel to the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and I absolutely love that book as well. That was one of my favorite fall reads of last year, so I'm very excited to see another book come out by that author. The next question on here is the biggest surprise in 2024. That for me would be The Ballad of Never After and A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. I don't know why this book was so surprising that I absolutely loved it. I think it was because at first I really didn't, like, super love either of these, but then once I got about halfway through this book, I was absolutely eating this series up. I think about Jax more often than I would like to admit, but that's okay. But these two have definitely been my biggest surprises with as far as how it's turned around for me and how I went from not really loving this series to absolutely, like, I can't stop thinking about it. And that's so funny because it's settled with me. This series has settled with me, and it's definitely one of my favorite series that I've read this year. The next question on here says a new favorite author. That would either be like a debut author or an author that's new to you. I chose an author that's new to me, and I'm picking Miss Emily Henry for this. I love her writing. I love her characters. I love this story. It was so unique and fun. It still touched on a few realistic topics, but it still really had that undertone of a very rom-com-y book. The male main character was really interesting because he really wasn't like a male main character that I had ever read before. He wasn't like your stereotypical, oh, he's hot from like page 1 kind of guy. He was like, oh, this is the love interest, but then you start to like see him develop and grow, and then you're like, oh, he's the love interest. Okay, I gotcha, I understand now. And it was a really interesting experience to watch him grow as a main character. I also just love New Girl. They're not alike at all, but the guy in here really reminded me of the guy in New Girl, and like kind of the situation as well, but not really. Like, if you've watched New Girl and you can see the comparison between these two, let me know. But it just gave the vibes. It wasn't really like anything like New Girl, but the vibes were there. Okay, so the next question is your new fictional crush. I have two of them. One of them I've already talked about, so we'll talk about him again. That is Jax in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I absolutely love him. There was just one line specifically in The Ballad of Never After that I was just like, wow. The grip that this man had on me after saying that one line. I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I get the hype. Like, I need more Jax content. I can't get enough of him. Like, I want like 5 more books just of him. Just literally of him doing his daily life. As long as he had like the wit and the funniness that he had in these books, oh, I could read about him all day long. I just love this series so much. It was just such a good series. And then a new book series that I haven't yet talked about on my channel. Well, I actually kind of did touch on it in the last video, but Spark of the Everflame, Luther, he is one of my new favorite fictional men, and I really like him. He's a really good male main character. Well, he's not even really a main character. So this book is really slow burn. So I'm really not getting a lot of Luther content in here. You only get like bits and pieces. But in the next book in the series, I am obsessed with him. He's one of my new favorites. This series is one of my new favorites. I'm definitely planning on reading the 3rd book in the series soon. It's just such a good little series so far. Okay, the next question is a book that made me cry. Do I even need to say anything? Because, oh, this book is a tearjerker. Oh, I was bawling. I was like mid-work trying to get this book done. Like, I think I had just like had like 10 pages left or something like that. And oh, this is powerful. This is the novella to Powerless. This follows Peyton's friend Adina and just kind of Dina's like adventures while Peyton is out and about. And if you've read Powerless, then you understand. But this book was such a tearjerker and I loved it. And I'm so upset and I'm so mad about what happens in this book, but it was so precious and perfect, and I love it. It's even the cutest little size, and oh, literally the best song that I can describe this book as is Bigger Than the Whole Sky by Taylor Swift is this song that describes this book. And if you know, you know. Okay, so on the opposite side of things, a book that made me happy, and that is going to be A Court of Mist and Fury. This book, okay, I have 2 6-star reads. I don't know if we've established this around here yet or not, but I've only ever had 2 6-star reads, and that is Powerful and A Court of Mist and Fury. And every time I read this book, I just have the biggest grin on my face, and I'm just so happy to be back in this world. It's not even just the romance, it's the characters, even the plot is, I think, pretty decent. So I just am obsessed with this book so much. I know it's so popular and I know that a lot of people have read it, but like, go reread it if you've read it. Like, talk about it with somebody that's also read it. If you've not read it before, go read this series because it is so good. And the first book is not my favorite, but the 2nd and 3rd book, they're just so impressive in every sense, and I am absolutely just so like enamored by this series. So the next one is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. So the book that I have for this is A Fragile Enchantment by Allison Saft. This is actually just the naked book. It doesn't have the dust jacket on it, but I just love it without the dust jacket so much more. So this is kind of what the, I'm gonna be so careful with this book. This is kind of what the front and the back looks like. It's such a pretty little book. The artist that actually done this cover design is Bluey Blue, and I absolutely love this artist's work because I also bought a Fourth Wing dust jacket from them last year and I was already obsessed. So this book is just so pretty and so cute. And then on the inside we also have some really gorgeous in paper art on the front and on the back. The back one is honestly more of my favorite, and then the sprayed edges as well, the little roses are just so darn cute. I'm absolutely obsessed with this book. This book actually doesn't even go on my shelves. It goes over there on my desk because it has earned the spot as one of my prettiest books that I now own. Okay, so the next question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So I do have a list. Where did I put my journal? So I actually at the beginning of the year made like a little TBR cart, and it looks like this. I got this idea from Rachel Catherine. She actually made a little book cart in her book journal, and I thought that was such a cute idea. So I made a little TBR cart in my book journal, and I love it so much. Literally anything on this that's not colored in, I need to read it by the end of the year. Now, will all of that happen? No, absolutely not. So just to give you an idea, we have Crescent City. I don't think I'm going to get to Crescent City because I am trying to finish Throne of Glass. Then we have the Last Hour series. I wanted to read the whole series. That may be doable, crossing our fingers, and it's only 3 books. I also put Little Women on here. I don't know if I want to read Little Women yet because we'll talk about it in just a bit, but I'm not 100% sure if I want to read Little Women or something else. But we'll talk about that in a bit. And then I also have Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. This book I definitely plan to put on my fall TBR this year and actually try to read it. I don't really think I'll be able to read the whole series, but at least this first book. Like, I am really excited for the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. Then I honestly wanted to read the whole Magnolia Park series, but I only put the first one in my little TBR cart. So we will try to read Magnolia Parks maybe soon. I am very nervous about it, but I do know some things that happen in Into the Dark, so I'm trying to be okay with it, but we will see. I also wanted to read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I wanted to read this because it is a sci-fi book. I really wanted to read a sci-fi book this year just to broaden my horizons on what type of genres I'm reading. And then I wanted to read whatever this is. I don't know. Oh, I know what this is. This is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Oh, I just had to like sit there and like figure that out. I had to decrypt that. So I really want to read decipher. I really had to decipher that. But I really want to read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Why is that title so hard to say? I really want to read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I can't say LaRue. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. There we go. I'm not saying it again. I really want to read that book because I've heard just so many great things about it. It's been a popular book talk book for a really long time, and I'm thinking this is a big maybe because I know that this book is really slow, but we may read it for Summerween, but don't hold me to that because Summerween is like only a week long and I really don't want to be stuck on one book all week. Absolutely not. I will cry if I only read one book for Summerween. So we may put that on there, we may not, I don't know. And then I did want to read the first 2 books in the Boys of Tommen series, so that's Binding and Keeping 13. I have had this series on my TBR as well for a couple years now, so we'll see. I've spent way too much time talking about the books that I need to read by the end of the year, but there are quite a few, and I would like to finish my 2024 TBR. That would be fun. But I don't know if we're going to do that. The next question is, what books do I want to reread this year? And honestly, just the same old that I've wanted to reread every single year. This is the first year that I've not done a Daughter of a Pirate King reread, and I don't know how to feel about that because like maybe I need to go back and go through that book because I honestly like I miss them kind of. Sort of. It would be fun to go back and read my annotations again and just maybe even add more annotations. That would be a good time. But then I also want to do like a full reread of The Cruel Prince. We had started a reread a few videos ago. I've not read anything since that video in The Cruel Prince, but that's okay. And then I wanted to do a reread of Powerless before Reckless came out. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I really would like to listen to the audiobook because I think those audio narrators, they are so good at their job. And I love that it's dual narrated. Like, I love that it's a dual narration with 2 people. That just makes it even better. I'm getting too excited about Powerless. And then, of course, I want to reread Renegades. I want to finish my reread. I'm on the second book still, and I need to sit down and I need to finish it because I really love that series too so much, and I do miss those characters also, and they're just a fun little group, and I need to sit down and reread that book too. Next we have favorite author of the year, and that is going to go to Sarah J. Maas. I'm so sorry. But this year, you've got to understand, this year has been the first year where I can actually like fully 100% be in the fandom. Well, not 100%, but like 85%, because I still have yet to finish Silver Flames, but I can be in the fandom and I can understand now what everybody's talking about. So you've got to understand that I know it's such a popular series, but oh, it's popular for a reason and I love it so much. So yeah, my favorite author this year is going to be Sarah J. Maas, because not only am I trying to finish the ACOTAR series and get through Silver Flames, but I'm also in the middle of reading Throne of Glass. And moving on, the next book that I'm going to talk about is a book that I have been putting off, and I hate to say it, but I have really been putting off the Infernal Devices series. I am so sorry for all parties involved. If you have been awaiting my thoughts on this series, me more specifically, who has been told that this last book is like very gut-wrenching, and I just don't know how to feel about that. That's why I've been so scared to read this book, because I don't know what's gonna happen, because the last book, oh my goodness, the cliffhanger that it left off on, I mean, I was literally just sitting there going like this with that book in my hands. I was like, oh, this is going to like rip me to shreds if what I think happens doesn't actually happen. Alright, so the next question is a book you've enjoyed with mixed reviews. I had such a hard time picking out this book, because once I read the book, I don't really think about what other people have thought about it anymore. I just kind of think about what I've thought about it. So I tried to think really hard, and there was one book that I remember a lot of people saying that they didn't love, and that was Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim, and I really enjoyed this book. I still think about this series all the time. I still think this series is one of my favorites of this year. It's definitely not the favorite. It is one of the favorites. The first book more than the second one. I didn't really love the second one, but this one I really did. I loved it for the whimsy and the vibes and the Studio Ghibli-ness. It was really perfect and really pretty, and the cover is even really pretty. So I really still enjoyed it. Do I think that the pacing and things like that could have been better? Absolutely. But for what this book was, it was really fun. And I definitely don't think that it's as bad of a book as I've heard people say it is. So, unpopular opinion. But I really did enjoy Six Crimson Cranes. Okay, so the next question is a series that you want to finish before the end of the year. One of those we've already talked about, but that is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I really want to get through this series this year. I don't know if that's going to happen because I am listening to them. Once I finish an audiobook, do I really want to pick up another audiobook? No. I really think I need to sit down and actually physically read this series and see if I can enjoy that better, because I do really love the books. Each book that I've read, I've really enjoyed. I've given it 4 stars or more. I'm having a really good time so far. Selena is one of my favorite main girl characters of all time, so I need to finish the series. Alright, then next up, oh, and also in that little category as well, kind of already talked about this book too, but I really need to finish the Infernal Devices series. I think that I'm probably going to be really sad throughout this whole book, but that's okay. I really want to finish this series. I really want to know how it ends. I'm really intrigued, so I need to finish this as well. Okay, the next question is a question that I really don't like, because I try not to predict 5-star books, but I do have a maybe possibly 5-star prediction. So the next question is 5-star predictions for the rest of the year. I'm hoping that Reckless is a 5-star or a 5-star or a 6-star. I think that the way that the first 10 chapters were going, it's a very high possibility that it's going to be a 5-star read, but we will see, because I mean, you can't really judge a book on the first 10 chapters because the plot was just getting started, I feel, when I hit the last chapter and it left on such a cliffhanger. I hope so. I really hope so. Alright, so the next question is, do you think you'll reach your reading goal by the end of the year, or are you going to change it? No, I'm not going to change it. I am still going to try to read 100 books this year. I do have some manga lined out, so I think that'll definitely help. But we will see. I am hopeful that I will hit this 100 books goal. I'm definitely too far in now to change it, and I just don't want to. Alright, the very last question of the video. Are there any new goals for the rest of the year? And yes, there is a new reading goal that I've added on here, and kind of sort of added. I want to read a classic. I really want to read a classic this year. I have put Pride and Prejudice on my summer TBR. Hopefully we can get to at least one classic this year. I would love to sit down and read Pride and Prejudice and maybe even annotate it. And then also Little Women as well. I would really love to sit down and read Little Women because I think I would love Little Women so much, and I need to do it. I need to sit down and I need to read both of them. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about some of the books that I have been loving and my kind of experience with reading 50 books through the year, and just kind of just telling you guys what the first 6 months have been like for me reading wise, because I love these types of videos to just kind of sit down and just chat about books. Like, those are my favorite kinds of videos, is I love to just chat about books. I love to give book recommendations. I love it so much. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down below some of your answers to these questions. So if you have filmed one of these videos, I would love to watch it. Comment down below, say, hey, I filmed one of these videos. Or if you haven't filmed a video like that yet, or if you don't want to, that's perfectly fine too. Comment down below as well what some of your answers to these questions would be, because I would still love to hear them anyway. Also, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Makes my heart smile, helps out the channel. You know how it be around here. Also, tap that subscribe button if you want to stay a while. We try to upload around here every Monday. No, why do I always say Monday? Every Sunday and Thursday at 6 p.m. EST. That does not always happen, so make sure you turn on that post notification bell so you will be notified right when I upload a video. That's it. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!